round 3 of Division 1, and we have delayed the start from 5 UKPM to 6 UKPM to see the procedures of the real F1 race. At the end hasn't started, and so we are now online to have a race on Spa. And here the weather looks clear instead of in the real world. In the real F1 we didn't manage to have a clean space of time to have the race on, while here we have all the drivers. We're missing only Truckster in a Mercedes, who might join by the start of the qualifying, was just started, and the first drivers are already on track. We can have a look at Brooke. So let's put his telemetry on. Is the first driver who has come out. Since the track is so long here, you have to be fast doing out lap and in lap, otherwise you won't be able to do 3 push laps. It depends also on the strategy you want to do. If you want to qualify in medium, you might need to wait a little bit for the track to to get better and better. So Brooke in the AlphaTauri is the first one. Ooh, and almost going into the wall in his outlap. I'll suggest him to preserve the energy in the tires, since I'll be able to do 3 push lap easily by his pace. And he decides to go into the pit and not start the lap, so let's get on board with someone else. There is a McLaren track who is close to start, and it's Jules, who has the soft tires, the soft compound, and he's starting his lap, taking a wide line for the final corner to get more speed going into the first corner. Nicely done for the McLaren driver, who has shown some good pace in qualifying mostly, while in the race he managed to score some good points only in the last race. So let's see how it's a 30.1 going to the first sector, which is fastest overall because it's the first driver to get a lap in. Carrying so much speed in this corner, nicely done. I think he has prepared well for this race. Eisenberg letting the McLaren driver through. Now going into Pouan, it's hard to do full throttle. You really will need a high downforce setup, but that will commit your car to the second sector, while the first and the third sector are mostly full throttle straights. So you need the high speed also to cover yourself from the other drivers behind, or to try and gain position on the straight and for the to the drivers in front. Let's see how it deals with the bus stop chicane. Slightly lock up, tight line, and then it's a 1:43.1. It's not the best lap I think we will see today, but it's a decent banker. I get the money on the run, goes P2 onto the medium tires with nine tenths behind him. Nicholas Boita, who is friend Alaska, but he has changed his PNS ID, has invalidated his lap. Barsk's Little Hood 143.3, so he goes P2, a them behind. Jules. Rocco finishing his lap is at 144.3 for the Haas driver. Also, he has changed his PNS ID. Last year, his name was Luca. Marcy, the new Ferrari driver, goes P3 with a 143.8, and as I said, I lost across the line to get a 43.2, only 17 milliseconds behind the McLaren. Let's see, the Red Bull. Oh, Brooke has retired from the qualifying. We have seen him going into the pit by the start of. Ooh, Mr. Gibber almost having a moment at the Rouge radio. I was saying, we've seen Brooke going to the pit after completing the outlap. Don't spam in the chat, please. While Mr. Jubro is still on a run, but I think it will be better to abort this lap and then going for the following one. So still the best lap so far is a 143.1 from Jules in the McLaren, who has been the first to set a valid lap and is now into the pit seeing what the other drivers are gonna do. Most of them are coming back into the pit lane, while we are seeing Mr. Dubro going for a fast lap, and Marcy goes on top of the table with a 142.9. The new Ferrari driver, the new confirmed Ferrari driver, goes on top with an all set of softs also. After doing a lap, Mr. Dubro goes P6 with a 143.9, not the best lap for him. Who is racing? I think Warren is on a push lap right now. Let's see, his second sector is a 115.1. It's a decent one. I don't think that's the best we have had so far. Braking really late, and in fact he locks up, taking a little bit of weather line, going full throttle on the curb, and he's P6 with a 143.5, 6 tenths from pole position, behind Shark, who is on the medium tires at the moment. So I might try to go for the alternative strategy, seeing that he's doing some faster lap time than some soft runner. But I also know that Warren does have a lot more than a 143.5, and in fact I think he's going for another push lap, because I've seen a purple first sector in the minimap in the right hand side. And in fact he's pushing, and he's pushing quite hard. So let's see his second sector. The previous lap was a 115.1, but he's carrying a lot more speed. Maybe he just needed to get confident with the car, falling back the rhythm. And in fact he's 8 tenths better with another purple middle sector. So he's gaining, and he is provisionally going for a 142.7, and he also locked up going to the bus stop chicane, so we might see him going even faster. Tight line, even tighter, going to the last corner, and he's a 142.7. As I was saying, as predicted, he goes fastest overall, 2/10 clear of Marcy, and now it's a 1-3 McLaren with Jules also on a push lap. Let's see his first sector. It's not purple, it's matching his previous lap. Oh, let's talk also about Deepava, who has just come back into the league in the Aston Martin, and we'll talk later about his rivalry. I won't spoil with who. It's a 164, quite a poor middle sector, nothing contention for, I think, the top 10 places, maybe not for the top 7. And in fact, he aborts his lap. Let's get on board with Nageltooth, who's starting his lap right now. He's in the medium tires, and he's hoping for a George Russell result, matching the British, sorry, with a front row, an amazing front row with the Williams. Let's see his first sector. It's a 30.6, so he's, I think, 6/10 away from the best first sector so far, but I'll get there. Barks has invalidated his lap. Let's get on board with Eisenberg, who has a brand new set of softs, but is not going flat out. So let's switch to Lustig in the Aston Martin. Was just gonna be wide, but he didn't get invalidation, and now he does. He was not improving, so that won't affect. Also, Jules has aborted his lap. So let's get on board with Dirt Shark, who has set a 143.3 with the medium tires on. And now has decided to switch to the softs to improve his position. It's a 29.9 going to the first sector, but he has gone a bit wide and he ride the curb, and he's gone spinning around and get that money on run. Is now gone into provisional pole with a 142.5. Amazing lap by the AlphaTauri driver, was now 2/10 clear for where it take about for the Aston Martin driver. Sorry, AlphaTauri. Incredible performance. He hasn't been on top of the standings in this first 2 rounds, so he has done an incredible job. And also Mr. Gibro just 1/10 behind, less than 1/10 behind the AlphaTauri. He is in the Red Bull and he's just sneaking past Warren, who is doing his outlap. And he has seen in a space of 20 seconds losing the front row. Let's back on board with Dirt Shark. No, Dirt Shark was spinning out, and so does Nicholas, who has spun out while he was doing a Rouge Radion, very tricky section. many drivers into the pit waiting to do their final push lap. So let's get Berenberg on board with Dirt Shark in the Red Bull, who I think can get into into the top 4 drivers. I'm sure he can do on a high 42, maybe even better. There are plenty of drivers in the low 43 from 5th up to 9, and it's a purple first sector for the Red Bull driver, so let's stay on board with him, because we have seen from him purple first sector also last lap, but he didn't manage to get the car under control and spun out. On to Pouan. I think that was full throttle, maybe just a little bit, just a little tap on the brake. And it's a 1:14.4 going to the middle sector, and it's raining. We see some drops of rain, and this could be incredibly important for this session. Dirt Shark needs to finish his lap as soon as he can, otherwise the rain will affect him massively. And in fact he locks up a little bit, taking a nice line, sliding, going to the line. It's a 1:42.8, and he managed to get the lap on. And in fact I was saying he gets P4, but no one from now on is gonna improve, that's sure. In fact, Warren is invalidated. Jules didn't manage to improve, and since the rain is now on, this will be the final standings. That's sure, because you can't improve your lap time. The rain in this game affects you so much, even with the first drops. Unless you have done a really bad lap, but I don't think that's the case. In fact, the drivers who hasn't set a lap yet are gonna be so frustrated about it, not seeing the weather forecast, or invalidated these first laps. And so the grid is set for the race. It's an AlphaTauri and a Red Bull in the front row. Get That Money on run, and Mr. Gibro. F1 Racing Warren, Dirt Shark going into the second row. Marcy and Jules into the third row. Only 5 drivers who has gone below the 143. Then we have Lustock, Eisenberg, Barks and Jurocco completely in the top 10, and from there on everyone will choose the tire that they can start on. But we will also have to see if the race is wet, because I haven't been informed about it, so we might have a wet race, and someone might have gone for a wet setup or a dry setup to get a better track position. Completing the grid, we have Nicholas Boyd of Fred Nolasco with P11, so just outside of the top 10. Clay Racing in P12, D-Power, Snaggletooth, Brook, Mooman, Sandman, Zabijaka and Vumax, with 5 drivers who hasn't set a lap, and also Snaggletooth and D-Power didn't set a competitive lap. And now Vumax crossed the line to get P13. At the end of the day, he managed to gain 6th position, so he has done a great job managing to get the car rolling in this tricky temperature and overtaking Sandman, Zabijaka, Mooman, Brook and Snaggletooth. So first pole position for Get That Money on run, St. Clea a tenth clear of Mr. Debro. As we're waiting Clay to retire, hopefully he's gonna do it soon, so that we can go on to the race, discover the weather, and here there is the pole sitter. Mr. Dubra, Warren, Dershak, Marcy, Jules, Lasdaq, Eisenberg, Barks and Girocco completely in the top 10. Girocco is the only driver in the top 10 with set a lap on the medium tires. We will discover in a minute what the forecast is. Sadly, Trackster didn't manage to get back into the lobby. I seen join and then left again, so it probably had some issue, as the race is clear, but we see some cloud over the sky, so we might have some race later in the race, since this is also 100% race. We have the time to get the rain going, as the drivers are adjusting their setup, their fuel, their strategy. We can have a look at the driver standings. Why not? So, the Division 1 driver standings are led by Nicolas Boita, named Fred Nolasco in the first two races, with 32 points, followed by Lustok in the Aston Martin with 26, who hasn't really been in the fight for the lead in the first races, but did manage to have a consistent races. And yet again we have seen not the best qualifying for Amy P7, but the race pace is there, and we will see him in the fight for a podium, I guess. The pit stop strategy is a two-stopper, soft to medium. Maybe we're gonna see some drivers doing soft hard, or even soft medium one stopper. Then the third driver in the constructor is Trackster, who can be here today racing. Mr. Dubro, 8 points behind Nicolas Boita, but is in P2 in the front row today, followed by Heisenberg and Jules, and F-Force in Warren. They are all with 20 points in the 5th, 6th and 7th position in the standings. Then Dershark with 19, Clegg Racing 17, Vumax Sandman 16, and then we have Marcy, Barcelhood, Brooke, Get That Money on Run, who is 15 in the driving championship and managed to get pole position around here. So very well done for him. Truckstar has left the session once more, so I think he didn't manage to choose the car. And completing the table, there's Nagathus, Tibran, Zabijaka, Deepaver, Muma, Jurako and Potro. sadly, we're not gonna have the rivalry. Sorry, I was talking about it because earlier on because Trackster didn't manage to get in the car in time for the race, and so Deep Power doesn't have a true rival. We heard, we read some fire words between the two of them, but now it's time to focus into the race. Hopefully we're gonna get a better television cam than this when the race starts. Let's watch it from Jules' perspective then. And it's green flag, 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 lights, 5 lights, and away we go. And it's a good start from the AlphaTauri driver, and so for Mr. Dubrow, who is gonna try to go around the outside of the AlphaTauri driver. There is some drivers going off the racetrack, and it's Dirtshark trying to go down the inside of Warren, going through a rouge, and it's everything safe right now. Dirtshark gets a much better exit than F1 Racing Warren, so let's switch on board with him. Mr. Debro has got a slingshot on get that money around using the overtake button. He's gonna try to go around the outside, get that money on run. Goes deep and defend his position. Warren watch behind, waiting to pick up the straps, and also Dirtshark trying to go around the outside. Warren goes defensive. Warren forcing him off, and Jules is gonna try to get down inside, but he's too far away. And Dirtshark now goes a little bit wide, and so he's surely gonna get an invalidation. Let's put the change of position. There's been an incident surely for Marcy and also Lost Dog. Incredibly, Lost Dog jinxed it, sadly for him, but there is plenty to come in this race. He has lost 12 position, and also a wing, judging from his driving style. Maybe just he has a yellow damage, and so does Marcy, who has lost 8 places. Maybe they collect each other. Going the first turn, Sandman was shown with a 1 lap gap. Hopefully this is gonna fix it and not going as last race. So it's the AlphaTauri leading the pack, and in fact the standings are switching. Hopefully we don't have to restart the session. I'm gonna wait a couple of laps to see it everyone fixed down and also calm down. But at the moment we're watching Dirtshark fighting for P2, I guess, no, P3 with Warren, and also Jules trying to go around the outside. Okay, everything is fixed now. So it just needed the first sector to be crossed by everyone. You can see Mr. Debro is glued to the back of the AlphaTauri, and he's gonna try to get the position on him at the very first occasion, in the very first DRS zone. Let's put telemetry on. Mr. Debro has 100% battery, is not using it at all. So he's there because he has the pace, the race pace, to win this race. The pack is so close, I have to say. Just Warren maybe is a little bit far behind. The top two, Mr. Dubert, try to have a look around the outside, get that money on run, defend this position. And soon we're gonna see an overtaking opportunity for the Red Bull driver. Goes a little bit deep going to turn 1. The AlphaTauri driver gets the better traction. and is using the overtake. Both are using, but now Mr. Debro is gonna use also the DRS. The AlphaTauri goes defensive, Mr. Debro goes around the outside and is gonna blast past the AlphaTauri, and now Mr. Debro is in the lead. Is he gonna have the pace to stick with the Red Bull driver going into the next DRS sorry, into the next DRS point, which is at the start of the lap? I don't have the gap, maybe I should. So the gaps needs to be fixed as well, because they're wrong. Yeah, cheers for Division 1. Since we have delayed the start of Division 1 from 5 PM UK time to 6 PM UK time, we're gonna have the Division 2 race at 8 PM always UK time. So let's see if he managed to stay in the DRS range, and in fact he has. So he does have the pace that he needs to stick with him, recover the energy and try to go for another overtake. Maybe he's gonna try it right now, and finally the gaps are fixed now. And I'm saying Barks, who is closing in on Girocco, going into Eau Rouge Radillon, and he's using the overtake, and he's now gonna try to get to blast past the Aust driver, who is onto the medium tires, and Barks managed to do so, and he's now in P7. Girocco almost going to the back of Barks through the hood, and impressively, and Sandman has gone out on turn 1. He lost the car in the Mercedes with the medium tires on, and is now gonna rejoin the track dead last. As I was saying, I'm seeing Nicolas Boita, Ferdinand Lasco. It's not really having the pace that I was thinking he has. He had. Trackster is in the area, maybe he's gonna watch the race from there, but I don't think he'll be able to join the race. So he is on the medium, so let's switch onto the tires, and we can see that majority of the grid has choose soft tires. Only Girocco, Nicholas, Deepower, Clay, Zabishaka, Snaggletooth and Sandman has gone for the mediums for the alternative strategy. Almost all the grid from P3 to P9 are all in the DRS range, so we will have a close fight and also a big DRS train, which is not bad as it looks like. Let's get on board with Get That Money on Run, who is closing in on Mr. Debro. The Camel Straight is famous to be easy to pass the driver in front. Mr. Debro is surely gonna fall down inside, but we don't see him braking too late. He's now gonna try to go down inside here, and they're going wheel to wheel, side by side. They respectfully gives each other rooms, and now going into the no-name corner. The AlphaTauri driver has to back off, and Mr. Debro maintained the lead going into P1. I didn't think the Get the Money run had the pace to stick with Mr. Debro, but his qualifying lap is proving that is in contention to win this race, or at least get a podium. Is now need to push that overtake button, and in fact he does it, not to lose the DRS from the leader. while Dirt Shark has overtaken FRS and Warren and is now closing in on the two leaders, and soon we're gonna have another player in contention for the race win, while Warren he has the DRS, but he's not in the range from the next DRS zone. He's 1.1 seconds behind, and Jules, his teammates, is coming at him, and he's gonna try to get a move on his teammate. He's using the DRS. He just got a better exit of the Radion, and it's gonna be an easy pass where he's not fighting since his teammate Eisenberg is watching. Ooh, and Jules has spun out. Jules going into turn 3-4 has spun and has lost the car, maybe a little bit of a front wing, so Warren has come back into P4, Eisenberg P5, and who's there is Bark's little hood in P6, 7/10 behind the Ferrari. I think that's the best position we have seen the Alpine driver so far in the season, followed closely by G. Rocco, who has the medium tire zone and is not so far from the leader, so we can't discount him if he gets in clean air. He might have some pace to show. Vomax is also watching closely, and so does Marcy, who has closed a bit the gap and is desperately trying to get into DRS of the car in front of Vomax after his incident in the very first laps. Let's get on board with Dorshark now. The AlphaTauri driver is in Kreis is 1.4 seconds behind Mr. Debro. Lost dog 3-second time penalty is not getting better for the Aston Martin drivers, but still we are on lap 7 of 44 in this race, so there is plenty to come. Dirtshark is now gonna try to get a 1-2 going into Tucano straight, and is an easy pass for the Red Bull driver, and in fact it is a 1-2 for Red Bull. Mr. Dubro, Dirtshark, and Everett is all Honda into the top 3, with AlphaTauri, the young sister of the Red Bull. And now Heisenberg have lost some ground from the podium drivers Warren following the Ferrari driver closely after he got overtaken by Eisenberg. Also G. Rockov lost some ground, but he managed to overtake back Barcel Hood. We didn't cover this overtake since we were with Dirtshark on board, and now Barks needs to stay in the DRS of the US driver if he wants to be in contention of the podium places. But he also has to look back from Vomax, who is gonna try to go around the outside of the Bastos chicane, switching to the inside, trying to make a dummy. Barcelona who giving enough room, but Vomax did manage to get the overtake, and is now gonna use the DRS and also the overtake to try and stay in front of his opponent. Marcy as gained by this fight and is now in the DRS and in contention for the place on Barcelona, but now he's gonna have the DRS and gonna use the rest of his energy that he got to get back of Vomax, and they're gonna be wall to wall going to turn 4, and Barks gets the best line. Vomax has spun. Maybe it clutched the tire of Barks. He went too deep going to the braking zone, and he's now in P14, and maybe also have lost some front wing. So Barks now will deal with Marcy in the Ferrari. I will try to close the gap to his teammates, demonstrating he has to be the lead driver. I have to say Heisenberg in the very first part of the races he's always up there, and then lose some ground to the leaders. He has now lost 1 second in a matter of 2 to 3 laps. And also Durshark has always been 1.7, 1.8 seconds behind his teammates, and now the AlphaTauri drivers get that money on run. He's surely gonna have a chance of overtaking Durshark back after lap 7 overtake. But I think he's too far away, 8 tenths, 9 tenths, that's a bit too much. In fact, Durshark is not even using the overtake button. Ooh, and he goes deep, and this will surely make him lose so much ground. The old ground that he gained going to the Kalmar Strait. Eisenberg is now managing to gain some bites here and there. Warren, who is hanging on into the DRS range for dear life. Six tenths behind the Ferrari driver, but I don't think he wants to get past him. Even if he's using the overtake just to be sure he's gonna be in the DRS range. If I was him, I will try to use Heisenberg to get close to the podium finish to be dragged down. Let's get on board with Marcy. Things are gonna be spicy between he and Marks. This is one of the closest bottom track. We will also have a look at Sandman and Zabishaka. Let's get on board with Sandman, who was just overtake Zabishaka, but they are going really hard to each other. Hopefully this won't resolve in a crash. Overtake on for Sandman. Zabishaka sticking to the racing line, and now the Mercedes driver is through up to P15, and Zabishaka can do nothing about it. And this yellow flag into sector 1. It's an AlphaTauri's Brooke, who has retired from the race after 8 laps, 10 laps. We are on lap 10 of 44. Vumax got past Clay Racing. While we are on board with the Shark, who has gained some time on his teammates. He was 1.8 seconds behind him 3-4 laps ago when he made the overtake, and is now 1.2, 1.1. He's taken some time, even if he's using a little bit more of the overtake button, but he can recharge it quite easily if he managed to get into the DRS range. And you also have to look his shoulder from Get That Money around the pole sitter, who has dropped to P3. We are in the first quarter of the race. on lap 11 to 40 of 44. I want to remind you that in this league no one is using any assist. Even the racing line, everything is off, and it makes it even harder. And for every championship, but this championship in particular, since there are no assists allowed, the consistency is key in every races in the championship. That's what made Lostock being P2 in the championship, but I don't think his position will be confirmed at the end of this race, since he's now P17 after a crash in the first lap. As Get the Money Run takes a gamble going to the pit, but maybe he has lost some front wing. Let's stay on board with him and see if the nose change is needed. It's not, so he got a minor, or he didn't even also get damaged. We will see if he's gonna lose some ground. It's an early pit stop. He's surely committed to a two-stop strategy, since he put another set of softs. So it's going for a two-stopper soft to medium. Maybe he didn't like the soft to hard strategy, and Marcy gets the position on Barks. The two have swapped. Marcy, the Ferrari driver, is now in P5, and he got a big gap up in front to Warren, 5.7 seconds to the McLaren driver, but he can't discount the drivers behind him because he has the pace. The Shark 3-second time penalty, that's massive for the fight for the lead. He's still 1.2 seconds behind his teammate, and I'll be curious to see if it's gonna be Mr. Dubrow covering from the undercut, or Dirt Shark trying to get an opportunity also to undercut his teammate, or if they want to continue to get a one-stopper soft to hards. Let's get on board with Mr. Dubrow, and in fact he's continuing while Dirt Shark has gone into the pit, and I think that's reasonable to see to get on board with Get the Money on Run. Was pitted a lap earlier. It was 4 tenths behind Dirt Shark, who was almost obliged to go into the pit, and many drivers are doing the same. Eisenberg, Barks, Jules, Clay. So let's see where it's gonna come out. It's gonna be in front of Dirt Shark. When he is, the undercut has worked, and now the AlphaTauri driver is in P6, that P2, with Dirt Shark was also a 3-second time penalty, and he's now behind. And Mr. Dubrow has to watch his shoulders. He needs to push everything he has to covers from these two, because we have seen that Get the Money on Run has gained 1.2 seconds because he was 6 tenths behind and he got 6 tenths ahead. So Mr. Dubrow has a tough choice now. Is he gonna commit to the one stopper, or is he gonna risk his race position on track? He's now in the third sector, so he's gonna choose in the very next few seconds. So let's get on board with him. Let's get on board with the leader since lap 3. Slightly lock up, and he goes into the pit. So it's now the pole sitter opportunity to get back into the lead. He used a lot of the overtake button of his battery power to get the position on their shark. And is he gonna get the position also on Mr. Debro? Let's see. And they did. Also, their shark has undercut him. And Mr. Debro is also, I think, outside of the DRS range, and in fact he is. He's 1.2 seconds. The leader has been undercutted by Get the Money on Run and their shark, who is hanging on in the DRS range, but now the pulse eater has only 10% of ERS, and is surely gonna be catched by their shark. Well, Mr. Dubrow needs to push everything. He's surely gonna have best soft tires, but he has lost track position, and maybe is their shark opportunity to break away if he managed to get the overtake up and running. But now the problems begin, because there are D-Power and G-Rocco who are onto the medium tires and will not pit soon, and so they need to overtake him in the next part, in the very first occasion, if they want to lose too much ground. And in fact Mr. Debro is closing in, and he will be into the DRS range, going into the Camel Straight. So a big fight is about to come. G-Rocco is slowing down D-Power. D-Power is slowing all the trio behind him. And if the two starts to fight between each other, then we will see also some others getting back into the fight for the podium places. Warren, Eisenberg, and so on. You can see Get the Money on Run as the DRS, and he also using a bit of the overtake, but since G-Rock and D-Power are fighting for position, they won't be overtaken. Ooh, in this twisty section of the track, as the truck now tries to get a dummy on him. Ooh, and Get the Money on Run touch G-Rock backhand, and the shark needs to avoid it, and so does Mr. Debro. And the two Red Bull are now back in the net P1 and P2, but with inverted result. Get the Money on Run has done a mistake. Surely this is a mistake of the AlphaTauri driver, who has been uncautious. He got unsurprised by the move of their shark, trying to go down inside there and make him do a mistake, and is now gonna lose so much time with this damage on the front wing. He's already 4.4 seconds behind. With a new set of softs, we will see if he's gonna pit for a set of arts, or if he's gonna stick to his strategy. Also, G-Rock sadly got involved, and he is now followed by Heisenberg, who is gonna try to overtake him as soon as he can, since he has a new set of softs. G-Rock dives into the pit, so he got surely some damage. So everyone has a 3 seconds time penalty. Of course, of who has penalties, but Zabijaka has 6. Is Mr. Dribble gonna try and move on their shark? No, he's too far away. And there's a yellow flag, and it's Eisenberg who has spun going to Rouge Radion and got collected. Also is Sandman. So many drivers got involved. Also Nicholas Boita. Incredible stuff going to Rouge Radio, and we were aligned. We were on to the onboard just some seconds before the incident. Sandman, Nicholas Boyden, and mainly Eisenberg got involved, with him getting out of the race. Vumax also lost the car there at the end of Sector 1, start of Sector 2. And now that switch a lot the position, into the standings. Eisenberg was there for P4, P5, and now the two McLaren will fight for this position, and they might be able to close in and get the money on Brown, who is on a new set of softs. But let's get on board with their Shark, who has got the position. No, sorry. Oh, sorry, they both overtake Dupower, who has gone into the pit lane. So we have seen Aston Martin, from the Aston Martin drivers, that mediums can do 17 laps, and it's going for a one stop with their medium to hardens, and so does Marcy and Girocco. So they choose the one stop strategy, and I think also Mooman, Sandman, Nicholas and Zabishaka and Snaggletooth are gonna try to do this one stopper. Mr. Dibro is now the one leading, since he is 4 tenths behind his teammate, who has a 3-second time penalty, and you can tell he's administrating the racing from P2, and he's gonna choose the better moment to overtake his teammates and try to stretch a gap from him. There's a yellow flag going to sector 2. I think it's Zabishaka. He was, and he has now lost the place. Ooh, and there's a fight between Mooman and Sandman. Sandman goes down inside of Puon and gets the position on the Aston driver. Let's see if Clay gonna try to go around the outside there. It's quite a tough but brave move, and in fact he doesn't, and he completed amazing overtake from the Alfa Romeo driver, who is now in P10. Ooh, and get the money around Espan. Crucially, he has lost P3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 from the power. Espan going by the hand of sector 2, and is surely, because of his damage, he touched some gravel and lost the car. And maybe he got some more damage, and in fact he's gonna pit, and surely he's gonna pit for a set of hearts going till the end of the race. So now these drivers are fighting for a podium, as Mr. Dubra has gone down inside of Dirchak and is now got the lead. He chose this was the momentum, the right moment to do so, as Mr. Dubra takes back the lead after got undercutted by his teammate. The different thing here is that Dirkshark is now in the DRS range quite comfortably, and I think he's gonna stay there, and he's gonna try to buy these times, making Mr. Dubra under pressure, trying to make him do a mistake, as get a money on run the pole sitter did, who has switched to a set of mediums, but I don't think the mediums can do 26 lap. Maybe they will. We will see. Now Warren, Jules and Marks are fighting for a podium. They are low on energy. Only Warren is the one with 97% of energy. Jules does only have 14, Barks also has only 15, so same percentages. And they're all fighting for P3, no one has a penalty, so it's gonna be a very clean fight. Warren looks like he has the best out of it. The Shark overtake back his teammate, going to the Calma straight. He does want to be the car leading, also not to lose the momentum, and so the two have swapped position again, and I got some very intense flashback of Austria, where Mr. Dubra, Spahn and Derscher collect him, and they both retard. while they were in contention for the lead or at least the podium. It will be incredible to see that again. Then we will have a 1-2 McLaren, crucially with Jules, Warren and Barks at the lowest position of the podium, but I think that it will be incredibly happy about it anyway. But we also have to consider that it is in the mix even right now to get P3 for this race, because the podium is only 1.5 seconds ahead of him. Now I'm not gonna do the mistakes of not going to the onboard of the second Red Bull. Mr. Dubrow is using the overtake, so he's gonna try to get a position on his teammates once more. He got past the lap before and he's gonna try to use the DRS, but it won't be close enough, so Dirt Sharks maintain the lead for this lap. It goes a little bit deep, and now Mr. Dubrow is gonna have an absolutely storming of an exit and gets the overtake on his teammate. And now Mr. Dubrow is come back into the lead with Dirt Shark. Oh, he's the one under pressure. Mr. Dubrow looks very calming by his driving style. He's biding his time and is finding the right solution for him, while Dirt Shark needs to get a move on because he has a 3-second time penalty and crucially needs to create a gap to his teammates. Warren has been dropped by Jules. Actually, Jules has overtaken Warren and dropped his teammate. And there's a yellow flag. Is the other Alpine driver is Nicolas Boita, who has spun after putting a new set of softs, and is gonna lose the position also to Snaggletooth. Incredible seeing the championship leader is dead last in P17, not his track at all. Is in P17 and is P1 in the standings. Also Lost Dog, P2 in the standings, is in P14, so surely he's not gonna lose some crucial point to Nicolas Boita, but from the other two Red Bull, that's sure. It's like another yellow flag and he's getting money around the pole sitter. I've lost the car once more, so let me have a look. Understanding about, well, let's say Dirt Shark, who is trying to make a move on Mr. Dubrow. At the end of comes through and Dirt Shark gets the position back on his teammates and is once more in P1. And now Snaggletooth has spun once more because we see Nicolas Boita in P16. So let me take the standings because I want to see who is P3 right now. Who's gonna fight to get P1? Oh, P3 is Dragster, who is not in this race, and the fourth, crucially, is Mr. Dubrow, who is fighting for P1, is in a net P1 right now, and but with a win and a fastest lap, he will be 11 points plus he's 24, and he will get 3 points clear of Nicolas Boita. And he will get also the championship. He will become the championship leader. While Dirt Shark is only P8 with 19 points, but that with our first or second place, it will make a huge step forward, going to the top 5, since many protagonists of the first two races are not here fighting for the place that count. The two McLarens looks the most consistent drivers so far. They are now in P3 and P4 and the standings are P6 and P7. So let's see Mr. Dubrow going around the outside of Dirt Shark, and he's gonna get the best line and gets once more the position on his teammate. And I think this is gonna last forever till the end of this race, and it's a yellow flag going to sector 1, and I think it's Moomin. No, I think it's J-Rock actually. Yeah, it was J-Rock who has lost a ton of time to Climb Racing. He's still on the points, he's still with the heart, so let's see if he got damage to the front wing. It didn't looks like from the onboard, and in fact he doesn't. So J-Rock has only spun, but he will surely continue this race with the hard sides. Ooh! He's the one lagging, and I think I am, because the stream looks fine from my PC. If you have any question, write in the Twitch chat. I'll respond to everything. Thank you so much for tuning in, 10 spectator. So let's get on board with these two, with Shark, who is 6 tenths behind with the 90% of energy. So you can tell he's not quite pushing to stay there with his teammates. The two have about the same pace, and it will be crucial to get for him to get his teammates to get a penalty for corner cutting. So after the camera straight, I'll watch the race director and see if Mr. Dibro does have even some warnings. Mr. Dibro goes defensive, but this is an easy pass for his teammates, who comes back into P1. Mr. Dibro has to sit behind in P2. So let's watch the race director of Mr. Dibro, and you can tell he's a clean driver. Doesn't have even a warning. Does the Shark have more warning? Yes, he has. He has 2 warnings. So crucially, the next warning is gonna lose up to 3 seconds, and it will be game over for him if Mr. Dibro doesn't do a mistake. Bark's still glued to the back of Warren. He is using a lot of energy, and I think he needs to work on it, to work on saving some energy and use it on the right spot, because I think he's using to get in to stay in the DRS range of Warren, and is now 8 tenths behind him. He's a yellow flag in sector 3 is Vumax, who has retired, and also Snaggletooth has retired from this race. 9 tenths from Barks, 9 tenths and a half. Let's see, 1 second, 0.50 millisecond, and crucially, Barks is out of the DRS range. Jules has had the write-off, and now Warren is come back into P3. Does Jules have damage? Crucially, he doesn't, and he looks determined to get the position back in, while Mr. Dibro gets the position once more on the Shark. Warren in P3 is now gonna fight with Jules. Jules is using all the energy as well. Warren doesn't seem to bother about it, and Barks doesn't have the energy to stick with them. He's not in the DRS range, and he's now praying for the 2 McLarens to fight between each other and get back in a DRS range. Will be vital for him to still have a fight for a podium places. Warren has now done a mistake because he have lost some ground. Barks is 5 tenths behind him. So unless he does a mistake, he's gonna be comfortably in the DRS range. Also, Warren is coming back, and his teammates, after his crucial mistake going into the main straight after the bus stop chicane, maybe he went on the throttle a little bit earlier than he should have done. So now everything is clear. Warren is 1.1 seconds, so is pushing as much as he can. So does Barks, that he wants to get the position on him, while Dershark also for this lap as what plays once more with Mr. Dubrow. At the end of the day, these two Red Bulls are helping each other, because by doing this and not fighting, just only let his teammates through, they're gonna play a game to gain even more time to the guy behind. So if anyone does a mistake, they're gonna be a pit stop clear in the next few laps, and they might rejoin after they pit stop in P2. Even if we are close to the crossover, where the medium tires get better than the soft tires, and in fact you can tell by this Jules has gained a tenth in the last two corners, but has now lost everything due to not a very committed driving style going into those S's. Maybe he might consider a more aggressive style, even if he's looking for a P3, not a comfortable one, because he has his teammates behind and also has Barks behind, hunting down Zabishaka. 3-second time penalty, that's the third time today. So he's now with 9 seconds of penalty, sitting in P12. Behind him, Nicolas Boita, the Brazilian driver, and Mr. Dubrow. Also this lap gets past his teammates. Dershark, it doesn't look like a news anymore. So Warren is too far back. Box is too far back also for the DRS. You have lost so much ground going to turn 1. I think he has done a mistake, but he needs to get back at him. We all want him to do a good result, even a P4, but also a P5 is a very good result for him, considering where he started the season with. I think he qualified P15 both in first and second race, and then managed to score some points, and today it looks very much on the spot to score some good points, while his teammates, the championship leader, spun once more going into the Rouge Radion, have lost all the time that he managed to close in on Zabishaka. Dershark has pitted, and he has pitted for a new set of mediums. Crucially, we'll have to see where Jules is gonna be. I think Dershark will be easily ahead of him, maybe not that easily. Let's see Dershark, let's see Jules. So Jules might have a go at him, and in fact he's using all his energy. Is Dershark gonna try to push? Yes, in fact he's using the overtake to cover, and Dershark had to do so to try and chase something, to do an undercut on his teammates, who has been undercutted also in the very first part, in the first pits of when they both had gone soft to softs. The gap when he came out of the pits was 19.4.5 around, so he has gained 2/10. He needs so much more, since he has a 3-second time penalty, but I'm sure he's gonna push as hard as he can. I really don't remember if it was the car in front of the car behind going to the pit, since they swapped so many times. He's gaining, but not that much. Now he has gained half a second. Let's see if Mr. Dibber is gonna go into the pit. And he's not, he's continuing. So he does want to have fresh mediums by the end of the race, so Dershot can try to stretch the gap even further when Mr. Dibber dives into the pits. 3-second time penalty wall for Barks. I didn't mention that, but you saw it on the screen, and he's now losing a bit of time. What he needs to do is not to get frustrated and push as he was doing. He was right there in the pace with the two McLarens, and I think he can manage to get back at him. We also have to keep an eye on Marcy, who has our tires on, and he's gonna finish the race on it as Dersher gets the new 3-second time penalty. And I have to say, unless Mr. Dibra does a mistake, the race will be win by Mr. Dibra. Barks gets the position on Warren, who has gone wide and is gone out of the racetrack by the start of the second sector, so he has lost all the advantage and also the place on Barks and both Marcy, who is 1.2 seconds behind Barks, but he won't stop again. Zabcheka left the session and so does Lostok. So crucially, Marcy still have to do around 16 laps on these hard tires, and he's gonna finish the race with 29 laps all hards. But I think he'll be safe from Barks because he has a penalty. He has to look for Jules, because Jules might have a chance to fight him by the end of the race, maybe even earlier, since they're gonna put a set of softs. Dershark gets the undercut on Mr. Dibber, but it's not that huge. Mr. Dibber is gonna be in the DRS range, while Dershark is a 6-second time penalty. Now, ooh, sketchy moment for the net leader. All that he needs to do is stay in the DRS, biding his time, making laps go, and he will be easily the winner of this race if he doesn't do a mistake. He's now lost the DRS. That's not the plan that he wanted, surely. Marcy, 3-second time penalty, and also this is important for the end of the race. I think we will see in the next 3 laps the two McLaren and Barks pitting. Also, Warren might have his chance to get back at Marcy and Barks. Maybe not Marcy, but maybe Barks, because of his pace. If he can hammer a good amount of pace with those softs, I'll be able to get there. Nicholas Boyd, another spin for him, going at the bus stop chicane. Now that they want to, he will forget this day surely, very soon. Mr. Dubra has come back in the DRS range. We have 15 laps to go. Ooh, Mr. Dibber, a sketch moment for him, almost losing the car there. And he's gonna use a lot of his overtake to stay in the DRS range of his teammates. Is always on our time going to a Rouge Radion. It's always hard to do so. So nothing special going around the track at the moment. Mr. Dibro is biding his time to get the position on his teammate Sandman. With these new soft tires, he's gonna get the position on Deep Power, but I don't think I don't think he'll be able to finish the race on this compound. We have seen a strong Sandman going to the first race of the season, but he needs to build this consistency, because in a 100% race with no assist, with only 10 races on the calendar, you can't allow yourself to have an hard moment every race, a spin or a bad qualifying position. So I think if he'll work on consistency, he'll be easily get there, and is now getting to Warren an incredible amount of speed compared to him. He's only 2 tenths behind him, and if he manage to make the softs last 14 laps, most of the drivers have split around lap 11, and he's trying to go around the outside of the Buster chicane. Warren shut the door, so Sandman's trying to go around the outside of him. Busta has disconnected, if I remember, Zabijaka, yes. So Zabijaka has lost connection. I'll invite you. Let me just get a second to try invite you. So yeah. I can't find you, so if you can send me a friend request, I think I'll be able to invite you and try to let you get back into the race. And by doing so, I've lost all the gaps, but soon they're gonna come back, hopefully. You can see Mr. Duber is still behind Dershak, but he's in a matter of a second. When Jules Box, after 70 laps on these medium tires, he decides to go into the pit. He's gonna do 13 laps. Zabish, you took 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flag. I don't know why, but the game gave you 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flag. And Jules came out of the pit with a brand new set of softs, just in front of his teammates who hasn't pitted yet, who have lost all this time after his incidents around here on the track. There's a yellow flag going to sector 2, and I think it's Zabijaka, who has been overtaken by Nicholas Boita. And Sandman has spun out crucially the Mercedes driver, who was on a brand new set of softs, and he was looking for a top 5 finish. Him has now lost the car and is going through now the no-name corner, and he's in P8 and maybe got damage. Let's see from the television cam, and yes, he doesn't have the right hand flap, so he's gonna pit surely, and he's gonna came out in P10, losing the place on J-Rock and Clay Racing. Maybe he's gonna fight with Movement, but with a brand new set of softs, I think I'll be able to beat him on track. What did him so I didn't show you Mr. Juba overtaking Dershak, but now Dershak is gonna overtake his teammates back. This is not gonna work out for Dershak. unless Mr. Debra has a moment. But even a 1-2 wouldn't be that bad for the Shark. A P2 maybe going for a new set of softs in the very last few laps if you see that Marcy doesn't have the pace, who is now crucially in P3 after overtaking Barks, who is gonna pit soon. Are you, Barks? Are not gonna try to make the gamble on these mediums, even if because Jules is closing in very fastly. I think he's gonna do the fastest lap overall in this lap, or maybe in the next one. There is a yellow flag and it's a Mercedes, so it's once more Sandman going through a rouge after putting a brand new set of softs. So Jules is improving his time with a 1.1 second. He's still far away from the fastest lap, which is held by Sandman with a 1:43.9, which is almost a qualifying lap, so very well done to Sandman. And it's a 1:45.1, which is a very good lap, but not the best I've seen today. So let's put this wave gaps. The Shark is closing in on Mr. Debra, but he's not close enough. Mr. Debra still in P1. They're not gaining so much time on Marcy actually. It's Marcy that is gaining. He was 13.5 seconds behind him. It's now 12.7, so he's gaining like a second. But he doesn't have energy, and also he does have this awful set of farts, even if he's getting so much time. Incredibly. Let's see the penalty situation, because you never know. Mars has a 3-second time penalty while Dirt Shark has a 6. So if he can manage to get into the 3-second window of Dirt Shark, he might manage to get P2 in this race. But he also has to look for Jules, who has got Bart's little hood just up in front, who is yet to pit. He's gonna pit this lap, I guess, and I think he will get surely to Marcy in the very next few laps. And maybe Jules will have the pace to get in Dirt Shark 3-second window. Bart decides not to pit. Maybe he wants really to finish this race on these mediums. Maybe he has done some calculus with the percentages of the tires of the tar war, and he thinks he won't lack so much pace by the end of the race and challenge Warren for P5. As now Jules breezed past Barks and is now in P4, 3.3 seconds behind Marcy. There is a yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. Who has Barks hit? I didn't see. Is that an Alfa Romeo? Is Zabijaka? Yeah, it is. Crucially, I was looking the standing while Barks has hit Zabijaka, was in the middle of the track, and sadly for him is now lost 3 places to Warren and Deep Power, and is gonna need to change his front wing. So unfortunate that Barks got involved. He was doing a very good job on his mediums, trying to get in P5, and he is gonna lose the play also on Girocco and Clay, going into the pit for a new set of softs. I guess Jules has already closed the gap down. Deep Power has also closed the gap on Warren. Is now 6 tenths behind. Even if he's on the hard tires, he won't pit against Shorley, while Warren Ooh, Sandman comes back him, overtake him. Miss Debro overtook Dirt Shark. Jules is now 1 second behind Dirt Shark. Sorry, Marcy, who has lost so much ground, almost 3 seconds to Dirt Shark in P2. Barch has gone into the pit for a brand new set of softs after the incident, so unfortunate that he got involved. He was looking for a P5 finishing. And after the incident is in P9, 14 seconds behind him. Ooh, Mr. Gibro! He's out! He's in the grass, and what happened to the Red Bull driver? Did he had contact with Dirt Shark? I don't know, we will see by the end of the race if there is gonna be a penalty. But now, crucially, Mr. Dibro is 8.7 seconds behind Dirt Shark, and Dirt Shark is now in a net P1 even with the 6-second time penalty. Let's see if Mr. Dibro is gonna pit for a set of softs if he has damage. It does looks like he has by his driving style, but he has both flaps on his car, so if he has a damage it's a minor one. So he needs to clear a gap of 2.7 seconds to be in Dirt Shark window. Let's see if Dirt Shark got any other warning. He does have a warning, but nothing more. Sandman has retired from the race after doing the fastest lap with a 1:43.1, so he decides that he had enough for this race. Mr. Dibber is losing some ground while Jules has overtaken crucially Marcy for P3, and now Jules is gonna try to get Mr. Dibber in these final 7 laps. Also, D-Power is coming off Warren, going very closely to the back of the McLaren. They both don't have a penalty, so they're gonna fight on track till the end of the race for this position for P5. 3 seconds time penalty for the pole sitter. Get the money on run, who has gone to P11, so just 1 place behind the points. Mr. Dibber is not managing to closing the gap to 6 seconds. I wonder if he spun by himself or got contact with him. When he's now gained on the monitor, it was 8.6 seconds behind Dirt Shark, and it's now 9.1. So the gap is switching here and there. Marcy 2 seconds behind, is obviously losing some ground to Jules, who has a brand new set of softs. It's now doing flat out almost to Orush Radion. Just to let you know how bad this compound of ours must be right now. Warren in P5 is holding the power, who is doing a very good race since his return to F1 to the UKSS Dakar Bath Racing League. The power is still in this 4 fence window, but is not managing to find the opportunity to get the move done on the McLaren driver while we are on lap 38, so 6 laps to go in this race. Deep Power is trying to make a move around the outside of Warren, going to the Hesses, but Warren goes defensive and shut the door to the Aston Martin driver. This is the close battle on track we've had, actually the only battle we have on track. Still need to see if Mr. Dibro at the end spun by himself or had a moment with Dirt Shark. But it's not gaining any time. Maybe he has a minor wing damage, because I think Mr. Dibro has this slightly better pace on his teammate, but for what we know, the Shark is now winning this race even with a 6-second time penalty. As I was saying, he just needed to hope for a mistake of his teammates. Overtake wide open for Deep Power, as so does the DRS, and is sneaks down inside of Warren the McLaren, who is now in P6. P7 for Girocom, these hard tires, followed by Clay in P8, Barks in P9, and completing the top 10 Mooman with his as to the fan from Get the Money on Run, was the pole sitter who has a 6-second time penalty, while Mooman does only have 3, so he needs, after this overtake, he needs to stay in the 3-second window of this AlphaTauri driver. We will see if he'll manage. The tire age is more or less the same, only 2 laps better. While Nicholas is having a nightmare of a race, he's in P12, but he still wants to finish this race, because anything can happen. Warren is not giving up on this 5th place. He does want to fight more with the power, because I have to say Warren does have a lot of energy, while Deep Power does only have 20. He has used all of his battery power to try and get the McLaren. Now the McLaren can get it back, so we check out the 3-second time penalty, but it doesn't really mean much because he's in P13 at the moment. So we're closing in on the Aston Martin driver, but he actually backs out of it because he doesn't want to get a position on him. Maybe he want to overtake him on the last lap. And finally Mr. Dibro is finding some pace, and he has dropped the gap from 9 seconds to 8.5. He has to gain other 2.5 seconds to get the lead on Dirt Shark, with only 4 laps to go. Jules doesn't seem that he has the pace to get to Mr. Dibro with only 4 laps to go. He has to close a gap of 3.6 seconds. He has that now his best lap with a 1:44.7. Let's see the best lap so far of the driver. Jules is obviously the faster in the top 3 because he choose for the soft, medium, soft strategy, while the 2 Red Bull have choose for a soft, soft, medium. Then Marcion, Deep Power have high 46 since they've put a set of hearts, and then the rest of the field is more or less on the 46 for the one who choose the medium for their last stint, and in the 44 for the 45 for the one who have choose the soft for their last stint. Barkskelter Hood gets the position on Clay, going out of turn 1, but Clay does have more energy. So let's see if Barks is gonna get overtaken by Clay. Also, let's see the penalty situation. Just for a second, Clay does have 6 seconds of penalty. So unless Barks does a mistake, he's gonna finish P8 anyway. Barks hold the position, going down inside, going defensive on Clay, who is in P9. We're on 1.2 seconds behind Deepava. Looks like he has dropped his ops, but he is using all his overtake, and he's gonna come back at him. At least he's gonna come back surely in the DRS range. Deepava didn't manage to storage any energy whatsoever, and it's gonna be a true fight till the last laps. There are only 3 laps to go. Actually 2.5, and Mr. Dibra looks like has gave up his 1.2 second. Ooh, Deepava has been overtaken by Warren. He's surely at the moment going into turn 1, lost the place on Warren, and now G Rocco is gonna come at him, and this is gonna be the fight for P5, because Deepava is still in the zone, still in the mix. Abhishek 2-second time penalty, so does Jules. Ooh, this penalty is calling out for the fight for P2. So Girocco, but Girocco does have a penalty. Of 3 seconds, so I don't think he has the time to overtake both and stretch a 3-second gap. While Warren does look, he has the pace on these old mediums, 26 lap on these mediums, and you can tell Deepava has the more pace of the two. Maybe G-Rock is gonna try to get both and hopes for someone to have a penalty, and you can see is now going down inside, and Blushimon is gonna do the flat out because he managed to get the position. Warren goes into the racing line. Girocco have a look down inside, but doesn't manage to get the position on the McLaren driver. And we are heading into the penultimate lap of this race with a big tree fight for P5. Warren absolutely love the fact that Girocco interposed between him and Deepava. That will help him massively to defend for this lap. And also Warren does have a lot more energy than the two drivers behind him. In fact, Girocco doesn't manage to get the position on him. Mr. Dibro is gaining so much time in this last lap. He has gained 1 second, maybe. Ooh, drifting all the way. Girocco in the no-name corner. Deepava is gonna get big in the mirrors. Sector 1, yellow flag is on Alfa Romeo, is Abhishek. So Girocco is glued to the back of Warren. Maybe Deepava is gonna try to get a move on the very final lap. Girocco gets the better traction to the McLaren driver, and now it's gonna be game on for P5 between Warren and Deepava, going into the Camel Straight in the last lap. So Warren is surely gonna have the DRS, and also does have 100% of battery. Ooh, and he's braking a little earlier. A lot earlier than Deepava, that might try a dummy by the hand of the Camel Straight, or maybe at the bus stop chicane at the very last opportunity. You can tell he got a very nice exit. Warren is using the DRS and the overtake. Deep Power does also have the slipstream, try to go down the inside. Warren goes defensive. He's gonna try to go around the outside. Yes, he has the room, but Warren gets the best traction and do the last track with a better line, and sticks to P5 while G Rocco is going away, so Warren will not have the slipstream going into the bus stop chicane. Yellow flag, and his clay was retired, so now Nicolas Boita have the possibility to go onto the point, but if actually he doesn't, because he has 15 seconds of penalty. But let's stick with Miss Dershark, who has won the race, followed by Mr. Debra. We will investigate if there's been an incident. Completing the top 3 is Jules. Marcy will head into P4. Rocco is in P5, but he has a penalty, so let's stick to Deep Power, who is using everything that he has. Warren is gonna stick to the racing line. Deep Powers try to make a dummy, try to make Warren confusing, but Warren crossed the line to get P5, and Deep Power P6 overtaking but G Rocco. But big congrats to Dershark, who managed to get the position on his teammate and also get the money around, making them under pressure, feel under pressure, and wins the race with a 1.5 lead on Mr. Debra, completing the trio as the McLaren of Jules. Amazing result. I think he'll be the championship leader, or at least he's gonna fight. It's gonna be a close call between him and Mr. Debra. Also, huge congrats to Marcy to make this strategy soft to arts. Warren in P5 holding with these old mediums. Then Deep Powers, what a comeback for him, with an interesting strategy, made him 2 hearts. The driver of the day is in fact Deep Power, after not the best qualifying, with a nice result in P6. The consistency is in his abilities, and you can see the the nice celebration with the phone of Dershark. Let's have a look at the rest of the standings. Yeah, in fact, David, not bad from 14 on the grid, Deep Power. So the rest of the grid is G Rocco 7th with the same strategy of Deep Power. That with that penalty, if he would have not that penalty, he would have finished P5, since he finished P5 on track. Barsk's Little Hood P8 after a very sad incident with Zabishaka, who was spinning in off-second sector. Oh, sorry, David. I didn't know it. Nicely done. Congrats. Then get the money around the pole sitter, finishing P9, movement P10. Nicolas Bolita, the championship leader, in P11, out of the points. A nightmare race for him. Clay, Sabishaka, Last Duck. And then the retirements. Let me get Sandman, Vumax, Naglithuth, Eisenberg, and Brook completely in the grid. And that's it for round 3 of the UK Essays Dhaka Battle Racing League. Now we are heading to the Division 2, always at Spa, that will start in about 10 minutes. So switch to that race, and we will see you next week with the 4th round of the UK Essays Dhaka Battle Racing League.